Okay, this is also February 18th. 4 questions from your section 2.3, the last section of our rate, ratio, and proportional reasoning unit. Here are 4 questions. If you want to press pause and just try them again because you're reviewing for your test, you can do so. But we'll do one question at a time, and we're going to solve it all 3 ways. We're going to use the multiplication division way, we're going to use unit rate, and we're going to use the cross multiplication. So your first question says 12 donuts cost $10.80. How much for 5? So if I think about cost to donuts, and I set it up as a ratio of the cost for donuts, then when I put my information in, my top number will be $1.80 for 12 donuts. So what I want to do here is I want to figure out how much is it for 5 donuts. So the multiplication division unit is, what did I multiply or divide 12 by? What did I multiply or divide 12 by to get 5? Another way to do it is 5 multiplied by what equals 12. And if we divide both sides by 5 here, I will figure out what it is. So if I take 12 and divide it by 5, I figure that it's 2.4. So therefore, 12 divided by 2.4 equals 5. Okay? So to figure out what it was, I'm going to divide it by 2.4. In order to keep it proportional or equivalent, I'm going to divide the top thing by 2.4. So that therefore $10.80 divided by 2.4 is 4.5. And therefore, it's $4.50 for 5 donuts. A second way we can do it is we can set it up the same way, $10.80 for 12 donuts, but we can figure out how much 1 donut is instead. So here our division is much easier because I'm going to divide it both by 12. 12 donuts divided by 12 is 1 donut. $10.80 divided by 12 tells us that each donut is 90 cents. And if it's 90 cents per 1 donut, then if I reconfigure it for 5 donuts, I would figure that it's $4.50 for 5 as well. Slightly different pathway. And your last question using the cross multiplication, if I say it's $10.80 for 12 donuts, how much is it for 5? If I put my variable of x for the unknown cost, and I multiply across the equal sign to create my algebraic expression of 12x, multiply across the other one, I can do this in my head, it's $55, but $10.80 multiplied by 5, oh sorry, I didn't do it right, it's $54. Once you've created this algebraic equation, you can divide both sides by 12, and $54 divided between 12 is 4.5. So therefore, x equals 4.5, or it is $4.50 for 5 donuts. Your second question says 320 milliliters of oil costs $1.40. How much for 100 mils? So we want cost to volume. We want the rate of cost to volume. So therefore, we want $1.44 over 320 equals what for 100 milliliters? Now, if I use the first method, division, what will I divide 320 by to get 100? 3.2. And if I take my $1.44 and divide it by 3.2, I get 45 cents. So how much is it for 100 mils? Therefore, it's 45 cents per 100 milliliters. If I take my second method and put $1.44 for 320 milliliters, how much for 1 milliliter? So obviously, if I do this, I'm going to divide by 320. And when I take my $1.44 and divide it by 320 milliliters, each milliliter is less than a penny. It's $0.0045, or less than half a cent per 1 milliliter. When I reconstitute it back to per 100, I'm going to multiply both by 100. And I'm going to end up with 0.45 per 100 milliliters, which is the same answer. And your third method is to take your unit rate, it's not your unit rate, but your rate of cost, $1.44 for 320, equals x over 100. Multiply a cost to get 320x equals, multiply across to get 144, because 144 times 100, when you multiply by 100, you just move the decimal twice. Divide both sides by 320, and x will equal 144 divided by 320, 0.45. Same answer. The third question on your sheet says it's $23.75 for 2 hours, and for 2 hours and 30 minutes of work. How much is it for 3 hours? So we're going to start with our most common rate of dollars to time, and we're going to put $23.75 for 2.5 hours equals what for 3 hours? Now, what did you multiply 2.5 by to get 3? In order to figure that out, think of an easier question. So if I did 20 over 2 equals blank over 4, what did I multiply 2 by to get 4? I would have multiplied it by 2. So this number divided by this number gave me the multiplier. Okay? So therefore, 3 divided by 2.5 equals 1.2. So therefore, we multiply 2.5 by 1.2 to get 3 hours. So if I multiply the bottom term by 1.2 to keep it proportional or equivalent, I'm going to multiply the top by 1.2, take 23.75 and multiply by 1.2, and therefore it's $28.50, and therefore it's $28.50 for 3 hours of work. There's my solution. And that's using what we call the multiply-divide method. Now our second method is the unit rate method. And what we're going to do for this one is we're still going to keep our $23.75 for 2.5 hours, but we're going to figure out how much it is per 1 hour. And we're going to do so very simply by dividing by 2.5, because 2.5 hours divided by 2.5 is 1, and 23.75 divided by 2.5 is 9.5, or to put that in perspective, it's $9.50 for 1 hour of work. And if that's true, then for 3 hours of work, we just simply take 950 and multiply it by 3, and we get the same answer we got with the first method, $28.50 for 3 hours work. Okay? And the final method you could use to solve this is your algebraic method. And if we take 23.75 over 2.5 and make it equivalent to x over 3, what would our algebraic equation be? What would half the equation be? This way first would be 2.5x is equal to whatever multiplies this way. So I would take my calculator, 23.75 multiplied by 3 is 71.25. How would I isolate the variable? Divide both sides by 2.5. And as you've guessed it, 7125 divided by 2.5. Can anyone guess the answer? 28.5. Okay. So therefore, x equals 28.5 and is the same answer to the previous two methods. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. And your final question, 250 grams of, sorry, let's start again. 250 grams of jujubes cost $1.15. How much is 300 grams? So we're going to go to the ratio, or the rate, excuse me, of dollars to grams or dollars to mass. $1.15 to 250 is equal to how much for 300? If we use the multiply divide, again, the easiest way to do it is to think of an easier question. How do I figure out what I multiplied it by? I took this divided by this. So therefore, in the same other question, I would go 300 divided by 250 is my multiplier, which is 1.2 again. So I'm going to multiply 250 by 1.2 to get 300. I'm going to multiply this by 1.2. And $1.15 multiplied by 1.2 is $1.38. So therefore, it's $1.38 for 300 grams of jujubes. Our second method takes the same, oh, that's not right. Takes the same rate of $1.15 for 250. But this time we're going to figure out how much 1 gram is. Okay, so we're going to divide both by 250. And $1.15 divided by 250 is less than a penny per gram. It's 0.0046, 0.0046 dollars per 1 gram. And to get it to 300 grams, which is what my question is, what would I multiply both terms by? 300. And 0.0046 multiplied by 300 tells us if 1 gram is less than a penny, then 300 grams is $1.38 for 300 grams. Same answer as before. And our final way of doing it, take your initial unit rate of $1.15 for 250 is proportional to x over 300, or x dollars over 300 grams. Our algebraic equation, multiply this way first to get 250x is equal to the product of $1.15 multiplied by 300, which is 345. Divide both sides by the coefficient. And x will equal, I'll bet you dollars for donuts, that 345 divided by 250 is 1.38. What do you think?